Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt. Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances, and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today, and remember, true wealth begins with good health. All right. Hello. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. This is your go-to podcast for insights on modern healthcare and wellness solutions. I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt, your host, and today we have a very, very special episode lined up just for you. But look, before I tell you all about our next guest, I want to take a moment to let you guys know that Telehealth Tuesday can be viewed on multiple platforms, including our YouTube channel. That's Dr. B TV. That is DOCTOR, the word doctor spelled out, letter B as in boy, TV on YouTube, and also Good Faith Wellness Center, Instagram and Facebook pages, and Michael Bookhardt, MD, MBA on Facebook as well. Please make sure to follow, like, share, tag, and subscribe to support this amazing program, especially on YouTube. Now, I want to let you guys know, I believe that our next guest actually needs no introduction at all. You all may know him as, some affectionately know him as Antar. Some of us who may have only met him a few years ago may know him as Mayor Lumumba, former Mayor Lumumba. Either way, he has served the city of Jackson, Mississippi, has served the state essentially as well. He's become a friend of mine. He might disagree with me that he unfortunately pledged Kappa instead of Alpha, but we'll go to that next time. But this is the former mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. It was 8 years that he was in his tenure. I'm going to let him fill you in on the full story if you don't know, and if you've been hiding under a rock. If you don't know this young man, you'll know him before we get done with this program today. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, stand and cheer for former Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba. What's going on?
Doing well. Good to talk to you. Good to see you. Happy to join your program, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Man, tell us, I know everybody's interested to know, man, what, after 8 years of serving this city, man, what has our mayor been up to, man? What's going on? What have you been doing? What are you working on now? What kind of civic projects or in the private sector? Tell us, what's going on, man.
Well, first and foremost, I've discovered happiness. No, I'm I'm enjoying the Lord's next assignment for my life. I've returned back into my law practice. I've joined a good friend of mine, Attorney Thomas Bellender, and we have a full service law firm that does everything from estate matters to wrongful death, personal injury, criminal law matters. We are general counsel for a few organizations, so we're staying busy. And I'm also joining the carpool lane with my daughters at school now. So that assignment has been given to me post haste. So enjoying the opportunity to really get to know them as growing young women each and every day. So I'm staying busy, but I'm also enjoying this next stage.
That's awesome. And you got two daughters?
I have two daughters, 11 and 7. So that places them in first year of junior high and second grade. So you can imagine the different stages and all of the personality that's taking place in the home at this moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to say hello to your lovely wife as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's thriving. She still is and always has been the smartest person in the house. And, she's doing well. She continues to lead up the English department at not Tougaloo. She was formerly at Tougaloo, at Jackson State. And also is working on some independent projects of her own, and I'm really excited to see her grow and flourish in that.
Awesome, excellent. Um, and you were telling us about the private sector, but how does it feel to, come from this, such a public life, and the largest city here in the state of Mississippi, and going to the private sector, and be going back to your actual roots of being an attorney? How has that transition been?
Yeah, the transition has been, smoother than I honestly anticipated. I was looking forward to enjoying some level of anonymity.
Yeah,
That hasn't quite happened. I'm still stopped and recognized at the grocery store, but people always approach and love, and so I'm grateful for that. But it's been a smooth transition. Even before I officially left office, I was in discussions with a few organizations that wanted me to come on as general counsel. So I'm excited about the work that they're doing, working with Mississippi for a Just World, in addition to People's Advocacy Institute, in addition to the individual clients that we have. So, when you're out of practice for a while, now,
right.
the practice of law, in terms of being deep in your work and your study, and all of the work that goes into things before you maybe enter into a courtroom, has not changed.
Hmm.
But I was out of the practice of law when COVID took place, and so many things have become virtual that were not previously virtual, and so it's not a huge transition for me, but it is an adjustment that is different than the one that I was in previously. So it's all exciting. I embrace and enjoy new challenges, and it's been good. It's been good, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of law do you practice? Are you focusing on any certain area?
Well, a good portion of my time is actually, working as the general counsel for those organizations. So we're doing, everything from contractual matters, intellectual property. Uh, you know, those organizations are civic in nature and humanitarian in nature. So it even leans upon, legal advice for individuals that are associated with those organizations, which can go from civil matters to criminal matters, as well as we do personal injury. My law partner has been in the practice of law for some time, so he's more acclimated to estate matters than I, you know, deal with quite. I don't deal with it quite as frequently as he does. But we're a full service law firm. We're at the corner of High Street and State Street, in the Legacy Building, and it's Bellender and Associates. So if you're in need, we're here to talk about the entire gambit of needs that people have. You continue to provide people insight on matters related to their health. Uh,
Hmm.
Obviously, there are matters that appear and we have to deal with that are legal in nature. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, we need it all. Wealth,
Absolutely, that's right.
we need it all.
That's right. And so, speaking of health, since you were, mentioned that, of course, it is Telehealth Tuesday. I would love to touch on a few matters, like, when you were in that, in the hot seat, man, in the mayor's office, when it comes to the health of Mississippians, the health, especially the citizens of Jackson, man, what were some of the, maybe some of the challenges that you feel like you might have faced from a healthcare standpoint in terms of people's health, whether it was, obesity, or lack of, access to care, or,
Yeah.
just fill us in from your standpoint.
People are dealing with real life challenges, and it gets into all of the pre-existing conditions and underlying health conditions that many of our people suffer from within our communities, and the lack of access to health care. And so it's the city often trying to direct people to the resources and information that responds to their needs. I was in office at probably the most critical moment in history as it relates to both individual and community health related matters during COVID. Uh,
Hmm.
and, it is atypical for cities to really deal much on the side of healthcare support. That's usually something that is responded to more on the state level and the federal level. But what we found is that there was a lack of continuity in understanding of how we protected ourselves. We were, riding the bike while fixing it. And so we were putting in certain prescriptive measures to make certain that we could deal with the general health of our communities. And we were learning through that process, and I was grateful that we were able to establish a COVID task force, and I had the benefit of medical professionals. I had the benefit of people who were in the tourism industry and how it impacted the economy. All of those things had to be weighed as we were making decisions. And so I also had the benefit of contemporaries. I had the benefit of my brothers and sisters who are mayors across primarily the South, but all throughout the nation. And when we lacked direction, when we lacked understanding from some of the places that we are, usually supposed to get that direction from, we had to, prescribe a solution on our own and use the expertise of individuals like yourself in order to push in the right direction. And so I'm grateful for all of that support. I'm grateful that that time, while COVID hasn't disappeared, I'm grateful
Right.
that it's no longer at its apex in this moment, because it was a very scary time. It was a very scary time.
It truly was. And like you were saying, especially for those of us that were on the front lines in the medical community, we didn't know what the hell we were dealing with, man. And then there was all the controversy over, is it airborne spread? Is it droplet spread? And, the controversy of hospitals not having enough masks and ICU beds. And you remember that the health officer, Dr. Dobbs at the time, he got involved, and we were working closely with him with the previous hospital that I was working with. And yeah, it was such a challenge. So by the way, look, I want to take a moment, man, to recognize and really just thank you for your service. No matter what side of the politics a person is on, this is a hard job, brother. So we just want to take a moment to thank the mayor for his 8 years of service.
I appreciate that, my friend, and it was honestly the professional, the professional honor of my life, and I enjoyed that work. You get attached to the work. You get attached to the different programs. It was a beautiful weekend. I was excited this past weekend to be out with my family at the folk festival, the National Folk Festival. That's something that we worked on for years. Our team traveled to other host cities in order to see how it impacted them before we were able to make a proposal and secure it. And so just seeing the fruit of that hard work come into fruition, seeing people enjoying the arts and being exposed to music that they've never been exposed to before. I remember when we were making our pitch to receive it, I told the NCTA, I said, listen, you can't be about America's music and not host it in the birthplace of America's
It's
music,
the birthplace.
right here in Mississippi.
That's right.
And so it was a beautiful moment. This is a protracted struggle. We never are claiming or alleging that we have reached perfection, but the hope is that we're a little better off than when we started. And so I love my city. I continue to pray for my city. It was the best decision my parents made to move to Jackson when I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
Where my kids were born is where my parents are in their final resting place. And so this is always going to be a special place to me.
Well, yeah, and definitely. And speaking of your parents, I was talking with my mother, and I know I shared with you before this, man, that again, want a big shout out to your father for his years of service to the city, and your mother as well. I had never had the privilege of meeting her, but I remember that one time when I first met your dad, man. It's kind of, tall, such a stately gentleman, man, and that was when, like I was sharing, that it was at Tougaloo College several years ago when Al Sharpton was there. And I remember shaking your father's hand. And then, I told Al Sharpton, when I had a small stint in politics back home in Orlando, and I was the political spokesman for Pam Powell's campaign, District 39, state rep. And she was one of the guests at a prayer breakfast. It was when Trayvon Martin, I would say, was assassinated.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that would
you
be accurate.
yeah, and so it was at the church in Eatonville, and so I met Al Sharpton. Then we took some pictures, and I think I said a joke to him or something. So then I am in Jackson, Mississippi now at Tougaloo, after talking with your father briefly, and then meeting him. And I said, Reverend, I said, man, I met you in Orlando. Pam Powell was running for state rep, and Trayvon Martin had just died, and he was like, yeah, yeah. And the way he said it, I said, oh man, this guy, like he remembered me. I said, maybe just being a politician. I said, man, you really remember me? He was like, I ain't say all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Well, you come across, the more you're put in the public eye, you come across a lot of people, and
yeah,
you want to make certain that every interaction is one that is memorable to them, and that they feel heard and seen. But Brother Sharpton has been a longtime friend of our families. Before we moved to Jackson, we lived in Brooklyn, New York for some time.
yes,
And so Sharpton and my dad were engaged in a lot of, organizing together. And so I've known him for quite some time. As I appeared on his program a few times, he often acknowledged that he knew me, as a young man. And so I
yeah.
made him feel old as I got, all of this gray.
Yep, gray hairs and salt and
Yeah,
pepper there, man.
yeah, yeah.
That's all right, man. So do you feel like you always were cut out for that, for the life of public service, or was it more? Did you feel more inspired, when everything happened, when your father passed, to kind of take the torch, take up the mantle there?
Well, first and foremost, I'm grateful that I've always had the rare benefit of living with my hero, uh,
Mhm.
and so I've always had deep admiration for my father and my mother. Right, my mother taught my father, who has
Mm.
always been in community organizing, and in his younger days, many community organizers or activists really didn't put as much emphasis or priority on family.
Mhm.
So it was my mother who taught my father, you can't be about community if you're not about the central processing unit of community, which is the family. So I want to acknowledge that first.
Absolutely.
But living with my father, and it's not just him being mayor. It's not just many of the well-known cases or clients that he represented. I saw him advocate just as ferociously for the clients that few people even knew. And
Mhm.
so he was just a living example that was very clear that we have to have a value of family, we have to have a value of community, but more importantly, we have to see the community as a family. When I started practicing, my father told me something, and it's one of my favorite quotes. He said, Chokwe, zealous advocacy means standing on the line, or effective representation, rather, means standing on the line of zealous advocacy and contempt of court without crossing over and going to jail, right? Uh,
Oh,
and so if you ever had, there are many people out there who had the opportunity, they know him as mayor, but if you had the opportunity to see that brother in a courtroom,
oh
he
yeah.
was elected, right? He was captivating. It was must see. If it would have been on TV, it was must see TV.
Wow.
And so I actually, my wife knows this. I actually was a little upset with my father when
Mm.
he made the decision to run for mayor, uh,
Really?
because and it was personal, and two reasons. One, I wanted to make certain that with some underlying health conditions that he had,
Hmm.
that he was actually following the doctor's orders, and not sneaking away to the barbecue joint,
Oh yeah.
every single time he
Oh
got
yeah.
an opportunity. But also, I've been approached by many people in my life. In fact, Judge, what's the television judge out of
Mathis or
Judge
Mathis. Okay.
Judge Mathis I've met him, and he shared with me he remembered when he was a young law student in Michigan, and he met my father, and my father was a mentor to him, right?
Wow.
And my father knew people like Johnny Cochran. My father, they both worked and represented Geronimo Pratt,
Mm-hmm.
also known as Geronimo Jajaga.
Mm-hmm.
My father represented Tupac in
Mm-hmm.
the head of his legal counsel, but he hired Johnny Cochran to represent Tupac in some other legal matters.
Oh, I never knew that.
And so, he was on the short list. A lot of people don't know this. My father was on the short list to actually represent O.J. Simpson. He had
Yeah.
represented Lance Parker in the L.A. riots. Lance Parker was one of the individuals accused of assaulting Reginald Denny, the white
Yeah.
man who was in the truck, and he successfully represented him, and that put him on the short list. And he always had a spirit of humility about that. But so many people had come to me about them having been taught by my father. And so here it is. I'm out of law school,
Yeah.
ready to roll and learn everything. And he wants to be mayor, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
But what I actually learned in the stint that I had the opportunity to practice with him, uh, there's a certain level of trepidation. And when you feel like you're next to the 40-year vet, you kind of lean on them and let them handle things. And so he knew that final stage was one where I had to spread my wings and go off on my own. And so as he went into the mayor's office, I was in trial, and, I was by myself and I had to figure it out. And I learned that I had really taken far more from him than I actually realized. And so that was both a revelation and a blessing at the same time. And so I'm grateful to have had that experience. With the running for mayor, I have never. It was never a lifelong goal of mine. It
Yeah.
was never something that I had envisioned. Now, I certainly envisioned politics in the sense of working in community. That's all I knew. That's what my parents
Mm-hmm.
raised us doing. Our weekends were spent at the Malcolm X Center on the corner of Martin Luther King and Randall,
Mm-hmm.
where we had day camps for children, where we had political education and martial arts training and basketball programs and a number of things. But we never imagined being in electoral politics until you learn, as we have these grand dreams and aspirations of creating a self-determined society where people have access to things like healthcare, where people have knowledge and information about how to build wealth, where people control the public safety in their community, that everybody is not coming to that community center. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to meet people where they are. And so it was in the latter years of my father's life that some of his comrades suggested to him that maybe he might look at electoral politics um, as not the end itself, but as a means to an end, to not only bring solutions to the immediate challenges that people have, but bridge the gap for them, how those challenges connect to the larger issues that we face in our society. And so, I had a front row seat to seeing his work. And he shared with me that he thought it was uh, more geared towards me than himself. And I was adamantly opposed to it. I had no interest, no desire. Again, I was newly in my law practice, and I wanted to pursue that.
Mm-hmm.
But as the Lord would have it, him being taken home February, uh, you know, 25th, 2014, right,
Yeah.
was a day that I learned that leadership comes less out of political ambition and more out of necessity. And
Mm.
so that is what directed me in that path. But it was not one that I chose for myself. But I'm grateful to have experienced it.
Yeah. Um, you so what would you say one of your and by the way, we'll take a quick pause for the calls, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to know this is Telehealth Tuesday. We are live with the former mayor, Chokwe Antar Lumumba, right here. We are here for your listening and viewing pleasure and edification. If there are any questions, hey, now I'm going to say usually for me, there's no question off limits. I can't speak for him, but um, if there was ever anything that you wanted to ask that, hey, you were not able to, have this type of access or, if there was something that you wanted to know, I don't know. Now if I open it up, they may ask you about their water bill or something. I don't know, man.
It
But
ain't much that I can tell them, you know.
but
Yeah.
uh, but again, Phil, we're here. So this is live, and so we're here to take your questions, comments, concerns. I want to say hello to our viewers and listeners in Instagram land. So we're switching over. I'm going back and forth. We've got Crystal there, Terrell Moses, my good brother, Perfect Imperfections, some other folks here. So you guys go ahead and ask your questions. I know you got plenty of them, and maybe some things during his tenure, maybe some things now, or even just some things in general that you just don't get a chance to ask elected officials. So ask your questions now. All right, and don't all ask at one time. So yeah, let's man. So when it comes to dealing with dealing with the public, like how is that transitioning to having to deal with people, because you know how it is, I mean, with people being public figures, and of course in a totally different realm that I've been in, but both of us being public figures, and you know how it is with positive things, that news doesn't really kind of spread at all. But man, the first negative thing that is, there it is. And
Yeah.
so how do you handle that type of criticism, and when people blame you for things that might not have even been your fault?
Yeah. Well, the reality is that you can't get too high or too low, right?
Mhm.
Get too high that you begin to become egotistical and think that you're, the best thing since sliced bread, right? Which is a form of self-worship, and the Lord arranges himself against the prideful, right? Or so low that you lose sight of the spirit of love, power, and a sound mind that He's given us, right? And so that's what you try to center yourself on. I will say that I'm human, right? And so for whatever reason, the way that we're wired, we take more time to pause for the negative critiques than
That's
we
right.
do the support and congratulations that we receive.
That's right.
But there is something to be gleaned from there. I think that you should never be above reproach. You should open yourself up to critique and embrace that, right? As constructive criticism and an opportunity to grow. Again, I lean on my organizing history and background and training. We used to be in the streets, brother. We used to go to what are considered the lowly places and have real conversations. And when you meet people who are struggling and are challenged with things, they tell you like it is, right? And then you also have to demonstrate a level of sincerity to them that they may question you, right? They may question what are your motives and what is your agenda and all of those things. And so it really opens you up to being able and acclimated to how you engage and talk to people. And so, what I enjoyed most, right, are those community meetings, those opportunities to go in the streets because, typically I was confronted, on occasion I was confronted with someone, who was angry or frustrated about something and may
Right.
have, you know, got in my face and challenged me.
Mhm.
And by the time we left that discussion, more often than not, they left with an understanding not only of the sincerity in which we were working with, but maybe more information about the challenge that they were suffering from than they initially had. And so those were beautiful moments, right? You have to be wired a little differently. I enjoyed seeing a problem, right? And looking for a solution because when somebody's been suffering from something and you're able to bring them a solution, that is what is intoxicating to me
Mhm.
about being in public office. That is the feeling that um, you never forget.
Yeah. Lashandra says, what's something that you learned as mayor that still sticks with you today?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot,
That was
Lashandra.
a lot. Mhm.
There's a lot. But if I had to pick, and this will be an answer that is specific to the people of Jackson. Uh, you know, Many of the challenges that our city faces, really and truly, obviously we don't have an infinite amount of money, and there are a lot of things that we wish a big wish list that we have, and not as many resources. But many of the things that our residents complain of really are not as difficult as we purport them to be, right? What we often lack is the political will and the ability to agree and come to the table in order to resolve those challenges. And that's something that we have to be able to allow egos to be set aside and work closer together, because the residents of Jackson truly need and deserve that. And so, the greatest resource in our city, and I'll say this because I know this is a question I'm often asked, but I'll tell you where I am presently positioned,
Okay.
so that no one thinks that any answer that I give is motivated by some political aspirations.
Hmm.
I have no vision or no dream of getting in electoral politics
Okay.
again, right? That doesn't mean that I can't be helpful or supportive or work in the community.
Mhm.
Uh, but I'm grateful for the moment and opportunity that the Lord gave me, right? Uh, and so I think that there's just uh, another assignment that He has for me, and that's what I want to listen to. But I think that our city, we need to dive deeper into community because the community who is closest to the problem is often closest to the solution. Uh,
Mm.
and so that's some things that I learned in office. Uh, you know, they're working as mayor is more than a notion. The job is more than a notion.
Man, I can imagine, man.
As many things as people may have known about in the news that were challenges that we dealt with, whether it's the water billing that was, completely messed up from day one, and we were trying to get it right, uh, and trying to make certain that we were made whole by those that sold us that system. Whether it was our school system that was under the threat of state takeover, that we wanted to make sure that we maintained, whether it was getting funding for our infrastructure that we were able to get. Those were the challenges you knew about, but there were many more that were fires that we had to put out each and every day. And so, I think that we have to embrace and allow community to be in the process, but we also have to extend grace to our leadership, understanding that they are dealing with real and serious challenges.
Yeah. Man, I couldn't agree more with that. You know, I was gonna say, you mentioned the water. So, okay, I've been in Jackson, in Mississippi, going on 13 years now, and it was like when we first got here, and I remember my mom was making comments on it, and well, I won't even say it because she's listening, she's watching. I won't even say what she said about that
That's
leader.
mama. Don't put mama out there.
Yeah, but she said at the time when she said, "Well, anytime you see this many." Anyway, so man, we were hitting these potholes, okay?
Hmm.
And I know people want to talk about the potholes. Now, I've heard about everybody talking about Yazoo clay and all that. So, what really is it, Mr. Mayor? What is it about Jackson? Because I've been, we've all been to New Orleans and other places that definitely have roads that are ragged, if lack of better words. So what is it about that? Because they would fill these potholes, even on State Street by in front of Baptist Hospital. Next thing you know, it's like the same pothole is back again.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
going on?
Well, it's a number of factors, right? It's a number of factors. One, it is the Yazoo clay that shifts and creates buckles up underneath the surface. Sometimes there are collapsed lines. When you hear about, a huge, um, gaping hole in a street, then it's usually some collapsed sewer line or something, and that's due to the shifting surface or it being oversaturated, which means that your water issues aren't only the pipes under the ground, you also have drainage issues, and so when water sits on the roads for a period of time, even when it dries, it creates a gas that expands and expands those cracks, and those cracks become holes, right? Um, so, it's not only making sure that you surface those roads, but it's the maintenance of those roads,
Hmm.
how you spray those roads consistently and care for them. And we have gotten to a place in the city of Jackson where so much of the road maintenance has been neglected for so long that we're trying to repave and resurface roads just to get them to the point that they can be maintained over time. But uh, it's rough, but it's fair. What I mean by that is, while we deal with things like Yazoo clay in Mississippi in some northern spaces, because they have ice on the roads more consistently, they have salt trucks. That salt actually, tears away at their road surfaces.
That's right. That's right.
And so, it's different challenges in different regions and how you deal with it. And so, what you're ultimately looking for, the solution to the roads, is a reoccurring revenue that allows you to continue to pay for them. The roads are only going to have a limited lifespan. Sometimes people talk about different chemical solutions for how they pave the roads. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some solutions that some compounds that last longer than other alternatives, but the trade-off there is that it costs significantly more, and so the cost being significantly more means that there are fewer roads that you're going to get paved, and so that means that the community is then a little disgruntled because you've only fixed 10% of what you would have fixed otherwise
That's right.
based on that trade-off. And so these are things that need to be balanced. And we ultimately have to build more revenue in the city of Jackson. We have to be able to have more enterprise, and we have to be intentional about this.
Mhm.
When we looked at downtown, and some of the things and aspirations that have been laid out in the past, instead of having the aspiration for one development, you have to ask the question, how does this development tie into prior decisions that we've made? How does it tie into current decisions that we are implementing now and future decisions that we anticipate? And being intentional in that way, allows us to look at how we're creating more revenue sources in the city of Jackson. If we're able, the city of Jackson is not a city that has a problem producing wealth. We're a city that has a problem maintaining wealth. A lot of
Mhm.
money is made in Jackson between 9 and 5. The problem is it just happens to leave out by 6, right? And so, if we are intentional in capturing that wealth while people are here, then it will lead to better roads being paved. It will lead to more sound infrastructure underneath the roads. It will lead to more economic development because it's hard, convincing a business to come when you have unstable, infrastructure for them
That's
to
right.
live here. And so those are challenges that one solution actually supports another objective that you have. And so
Mhm.
that's a little bit of the science behind the roads. It's not only the Yazoo clay, it's the
Okay.
drainage, all of those challenges, one leaning on the other.
Well, and that's why I was saying, that even with me coming in and being fairly new, and even when there were, the administration that was before you, and they were saying they were trying to blame that gentleman, and then they, trying to blame you, and I said, well, uh, even just from the outside, I mean, common sense, like this is not some overnight. Like it's kind of like when I remember President Obama would say, just because he got in office, okay, he's the first African American president, you feel like he's going to solve everything. These are problems in the country, just like these are problems in Jackson that were going on for years and years and years before you. And
Hmm.
they're going to continue to go on, like infrastructure being a problem after you. It is nothing to do with any one uh, elected official or politician. This is, you know,
Yeah.
these are things that it's a long term issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the job is managing expectations, right? You certainly want to give people, uh, you want to demonstrate that the vision that was laid out and the work that you promised that you were sincere about, that you want them to see the fruit of that. But at the same time, you have to manage the expectation so that they don't believe that you are in some way that you wield a magic wand that can achieve more than your resources allow. Now, we were grateful. We were able to pave more roads than any administration in the last 20 to 30 years, right? We were able to secure more financial resources. We leveraged the 1% sales tax that my father was able to get through. We did the first financial leverage of that in the state of Mississippi's history, meaning we took that money to the financial market. We were able to get more money up front so that we can do a lot of that paving and give us access to $50 million up front, in addition to the money that comes in. We get about 13 to $14 million annually in the 1% sales tax. That may seem a lot to individuals like myself who's never had $1 million, right?
Right. Yeah.
But when you know that a road like Fortification, when it was done many years ago, that road by itself cost $14 million to pave. And so when you have, over 100 square miles of roads that need to be paved and pipe under those roads that need to be relayed or exchanged, then you ask yourself, how am I, managing the resources that I have to do the most effective job? People, sometimes say, why did you do this road instead of that road? And what they may not understand is that not every road is created equally, right? What is underneath road A may not be what's underneath road B.
Underneath road B.
The expensive road A is not the same as the expensive road B. But at the same time, you need to do it collaboratively and in a way that the community feels like they have input.
Yeah, got it. A couple of comments, and then we have a question over on our Instagram side.
Okay.
We have Jamie, my good friend, who's tuning in from Maryland. Thank you for tuning in again, Jamie. It's a comment. It's important to surround yourself with people who tell you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear. It's equally important to stay humble while knowing your worth. And I appreciate this. I think she was going to say conversation.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that statement. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes people have the inclination when you're in, executive office to try to curry favor as opposed to give you the information that you really need. And so you really have to approach it with an accepting heart and accepting of criticism, because if you're not, then it not only is harmful to people, it's harmful to yourself. It's harmful to you as an individual.
Couldn't agree more. My lovely mother here, who is tuning in,
Mhm.
she says, do you have any suggestions? Oh, this is a great question. Do you have any suggestions for lowering the high crime rate amongst Blacks, especially young Blacks, in the city of Jackson?
Absolutely. Absolutely. First and foremost, something that both of my police chiefs will tell you is that, anything that they ask for, I was able to get them resources that they had not had before. We created the real-time command center under our administration and got officers vehicles, first SUVs that patrol officers were able to have, and they were riding in many vehicles that didn't have air conditioning when I first got in office, and so there were many challenges. But we're not going to arrest our way out of crime. We keep applying the same. We act as a carpenter with one tool, a hammer, so everything looks like a nail, right? And so we keep talking about more police, more police, more police. While we were successful in giving them what they need, if you don't deal with the underlying challenge or condition which led that young person on the block, if you arrest someone at 5 o'clock, there'll be somebody standing in their place at 6 o'clock. So it's about creating financial opportunities that people have a different lease on life and a different expectation, and they're no longer surviving, but they're thriving. When you're surviving, when you're making it from day to day, you have a different observation of the world. You're pissed at everyone. You're short-circuited. You have a short temper, versus when you're enjoying some of life's privileges and a bit of what we call the American dream. Your expectation, your desire, the way you see and view your community is different. And so I think that it requires that we engage with young people. It requires that we have programs that not only drop in for a moment, right? You can't drop into a moment with a young person who's facing every negative influence every other moment of their life and feel like you're going to convince them to pursue a different path. We keep raising the consequences of crimes as if people are committing crimes without knowledge that, hey, killing somebody sends you to jail, right? What we need to deal with are many of the mental health issues, many of the financial issues that are taking place in the community, and start there and see success. Have programs not only in schools. We found when we had one of our first freezes that our pipes shut down and we had to shut down the schools, that many of the children that were in JPS, the only meal that they could depend on during lunch was the one that the school provided them.
That's right.
And when children are walking around hungry, when you have many of these nefarious things taking place in community, and we are not acting as a community, if the children in your community don't know you, if you're not engaged with them, then it's a little easier for them to break into your home, break in your stuff.
That's right.
If you're active and engaged, then there's a different outcome. I talked about the Malcolm X Center that I grew up in. With those programs that we were doing, the community saw it as being so impactful that when we dealt with the occasion of somebody breaking in, for whatever reason, they kept breaking in and taking the podium, right? Like, I don't know what
the podium.
Yeah, the podium, the speaking podium. I don't know what street value a podium has, right? But we would have somebody break in, and at that time, you still had the Maple Street apartments over there in that area. And we would literally go over to the Maple Street apartments, stop a basketball game and say, listen, brothers, we were hit. What's up? And they would tell us, look, you probably want to go to apartment E1 and go holler at them over there. And the reason that they had that type of relationship with us is because they saw us as a resource. They saw us as loving on the community. And I think that has impact. Some years ago, this was before you joined us here in Jackson, brother, there was consideration by the city council to create an ordinance which banned sagging in the city, right? So they're literally suggesting that police officers stop young men, in some instances young women who were sagging, right, and write them citations. And my father said that he was adamantly opposed to that, right, because he didn't want to create another cycle of criminalization for young people when, he said what we need to be doing is investing in them and talking to them. And he said, if we lift their minds, then they will eventually lift their pants, right? And so it's the same theory. If we take time lifting our young people's minds, investing in programs, we invested in and supported organizations like Strong Arms of Jackson that took credible messenger programs, men and women who were formerly incarcerated that used to be a part of the problem, and we start paying them to be a part of the solution, where they were de-escalating conflict that was taking place in the community. We work with organizations like Operation Good, which over a certain radius, large radius of area in South Jackson, which had many of the highest incidents of gunshots in that community. And we saw them go into that community, de-escalate conflicts that were taking place. And we saw, nearly half a year of no gunshots within that particular radius that took place. And so we've seen the data that demonstrates and has proven that it works. In fact, before I left office, right, we were able, in the last year, we were able to see more than a 50% drop in crime from my last year. In fact, it was little talked about here in Jackson, but they put myself, my friend Brandon Brandon Scott of Baltimore.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Of Birmingham, Alabama. They put us on a post. I saw it on a social media post because it wasn't discussed that we were able to see such significant drops. Some of the rise that we experienced. Wherever you find high poverty, you typically find high crime. And so that rise took place right around COVID, when people were suffering, when people were not only dealing with financial suffering, they were dealing with emotional suffering and trauma, where people were forced not only with the suffering and trauma to spend more time at home. And so we saw domestic violence rise. We saw all of these conflicts rise. And so there is a one-to-one with people's lived experience and the violence that we see in community. And so We continue to say and build more prisons and build more, have more police. We live in a nation that has more law enforcement per capita than any other nation in the world. We
Mm.
have more people incarcerated per capita than any other nation in the world. Yet and still, we see some of the highest instances of violence per capita than almost any other nation in the world. And so, if there was a correlation between over policing and over incarceration and safety, right, then we would live in the safest place on the planet. And so, what it is demonstrating is that there are other investments that we have to have a comprehensive and intelligent approach to how we deal with crime.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. We've got another comment from Jerry. I'm sorry, Jamie on Instagram. She says that she feels that crime is the symptom. The real issue lies at the root. We need to strengthen families and restore structure. More husbands and wives united in the home can make all the difference.
I don't disagree with that statement whatsoever, Jamie. And that would be the goal. And part of it is health is more than just the body; it's also the mind, right? And we need emotional and counseling support within communities. Marital counseling to help support those things. But we also have to realize that we have to step in as the community itself.
Mhm.
Uh, Oftentimes we'll look at a troubled young person and look directly to the parent, and in some instances, in many instances,
Mhm.
maybe the parent needs to be looked at. But we also have to be smart enough to look at the dynamics in place, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
That's right.
Not every parent who has a troubled child is a parent who doesn't care. They may be a parent who's working 2 and 3 jobs in order to make sure that they put a roof over that child's head and food on the table. The trade-off with working 2 and 3 jobs is that you're not able to be as present. You don't have the luxury of being as present with that child. And
Mhm.
so, if we start standing up as a community, then we can help fill those gaps. One of the most successful um, organizations in history was the Black Panther Party.
That's
Uh,
right.
and people know for the Black Panther Party for them holding guns and the right to bear arms. But what made them most impactful, what allowed for that organization to reach its apex and grow most significantly, was the free breakfast program that the Black Panther Party did. It was feeding young children in the community.
Hmm.
Impact was so great that actually predated the federal government providing, some of the benefits that we're now fighting to maintain because
Okay.
they saw how
Okay.
significant that organizing tool was. And so, as we're having these arguments about benefits being placed at risk, this is the moment in time that we start returning to our roots and start filling in the gaps and providing support. We're in Mississippi, brother. It's not uncommon for people to have gardens in their homes, right?
Right.
In their yards. Miss Jones may have the greens. Miss Davis may have the tomatoes.
That's
Miss
right.
may send her son to go get them tomatoes from Miss Davis and vice versa to make sure that we fill in the gaps. And while we have advanced, while we have more, technology today than we had, years past. There are some ideas and solutions from the past that we need to reincorporate today.
Yeah. I got it. Well,
And I would imagine it's more healthy too, isn't it, Doc?
was
You
that?
I would imagine if we got to doing those gardens and stuff, it's more healthy.
Oh, man. Look, just to tie it back, I'm glad you said just to tie it back in since this is Telehealth Tuesday. I think that if we really improve the nutritional aspect, but that was going to be probably one of my last personal questions, and then I was going to see if anybody wanted to go ahead and throw in your last question or comment since it's just about 8 o'clock. But yeah, from my standpoint, if we really truly improve the nutritional aspect, I think that's going to, because honestly, the first thing that I saw when I was at UMC when I was training, and I told a patient they had hypertension. and their blood pressure was, I think, maybe in the 160s, the top number systolic, 160s over 90s. It was so certainly way off base. And I said, "Tell me what you had for breakfast and lunch today." And they said, "Well, for breakfast I had a sausage biscuit, and for lunch I had I didn't really eat much, salad." So I said, "Well, what did you put on the salad?" And I said, "What kind of dressing?" And they said, "Well, ranch." I said, "How many packets?" Like Zaxby's, and Zaxby's will give you 2 packets. And
Yeah,
they say, "Well, I always ask for extra. I don't like my salad to be dry." And I
yeah,
said, "No, this is the wrong thought process." Then you got croutons, you got ham, cheese, and then I said, "Well," and then anytime I said, "Do you like to cook?" And they said, "Yeah." And then I said, "Well, when you cook, do you make greens and stuff?" "Yeah." "What do you use to season the green?" They said, "Oh, bacon or fat back or whatever." I said, "Well, what about turkey bacon?" They said, "Turkey bacon? What's that? I never heard of
yeah,
it." So anyway, I said all that to say just that the nutritional aspect is so important. So yeah, you're absolutely right that I think that we could probably um, avoid certain pitfalls and things. Now, if somebody has a terrible family history of high blood pressure or diabetes, the person is already obese and different things like that, yeah, they may still have it. But I think that we would be closer to,
hmm
if we can't completely eradicate the health problem, we could at least move closer to the goal, which is getting them off of, if not all of their blood pressure medicine, maybe half of it. So that's usually my target for most patients. Of course, when you come to Good Faith Wellness Center. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
so
absolutely. And just kind of adding to the community responsibility in good health. Uh, far too many of our communities are in food deserts and food swamps.
that's right.
Food desert is where you don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables within a certain radius, and a food swamp is where you have an oversaturation of the unhealthy options. The chips and the cookies and the juices, the high in sugar juices
Mhm.
that are available. And when parents are looking to feed their children, they take the first thing that's off the shelf that
That's
is
right.
expensive when they're trying to make things make do. And so when one thing that I remember when I first took office, Pamela Anderson of all the people in the world challenged me to go vegan. Uh,
The Baywatch model?
yeah, Pamela Anderson. She,
What?
I don't know. I look. I have no association with Pam. What actually happened is that she was on a mission. I think she was uh, a a she was a spokesperson for PETA, and so she was trying to convince people to go vegan. And she recognized that Jackson, at that moment in time, was considered the most obese city
Yeah.
in the nation, and so that's why she challenged me.
Oh,
Challenged me to go vegan for 30 days, and I actually did 60.
wow.
And there were a few takeaways, right? First of all, one takeaway is that you can be vegan and unhealthy at the same time. You can eat a lot of French fries, a lot of rice, a lot of starch, and
Yeah.
everything, and so there's not a one-to-one between good health and just being vegan in and of itself. And so you have to be more observant of your diet than just eliminating uh, animal, food that comes from animal byproducts. But the other observation is that the choice to live a healthy lifestyle is not only expensive, but it is limited, right? At certain hours, at certain times, and so we have to make certain that we're mindful of that. If we can't have a grocery store in every community, one of the things we were trying to work with is Uber Eats and Grubhub, and see how we could make a connection and work with them in other community in certain communities to make sure that there was and availability. We even created Jackson Meals Matter, where we took an old bus and tried to put fruits and vegetables on it. You have Footprint
Wow.
Farms in Jackson. Cindy Ayers, who's working diligently, has a huge farm right in the center of Jackson, Mississippi, who's trying to give access to fresh fruits and vegetables. She's very generous with providing the produce from her farm to people. And so we have to take advantage of these things and make sure that we're not only telling people to live healthy lives, but we're giving them access to that healthy life.
That's right. I tell you, man, Mr. Mayor, I really feel like, because I say this a lot to our guests, because that 1 hour can be used so quickly on the show. I really feel like, and I'm just going to put this out there. I have said this before with other guests, but man, I really feel like we need another episode, because really, you know, I took this from my friend Glozell Green, who is a major comedian. She's based in L.A. for those of you who don't know, and she interviewed President Obama, and she was on Oprah. I think she interviewed Oprah, and then she was on the Tamar. I mean no, not Tamar. Is it Tamar? The one the
Tamar Braxton.
What's that?
Tamar Braxton.
No, not Braxton. The one with the short haircut. The young lady, the lady who has the show. Tamar's her name.
Before I upset somebody, I'm not the one to ask about that.
Yeah, man, let me get that right. She was on a talk show recently. That's not Tamar. She was on. I'm sorry, Tamron Hall.
Okay,
Tamron Hall. Excuse me. Excuse me, Tamron Hall. So
somebody corrected you in the comments, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I know it's coming. There's Sister Clayton from my home church in Mount Sinai, Orlando, Florida, at Mount Sinai SDA Church. Man, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you would give a big shout out to Sister Clayton, and my mother is Lily Jane. So Sister Clayton just tagged my mother on it. If you can see it in the comment, man, if you would just give them a big shout out, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I thank y'all, ladies, for joining us, Sister Clayton and Miss Lily James. I appreciate y'all for not only taking the time to listen to us, but I'll say this on behalf of Dr. Bookhardt. And remember back to my mother, we appreciate all that y'all have sown into us to get us to this point, that we can have meaningful conversation that y'all find worth watching. So I appreciate y'all. Shout out to both of you.
Absolutely. But yeah, I was saying with Glozell as a comedian, and she was on there, and we had a great conversation about some of the things that you and I were talking. But yeah, I told her continue being great. Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Patrice. Thank you so much. Let's put that comment up. She was saying, I was saying we need to have you back, and so I remember one time, this was last year, because this is episode 66 actually, and we've been on here. We've been blessed. You know what? I want to do a shout out to Telehealth Tuesday. This is episode 66. We're here with Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba. Episode 66. Unwavering every single Tuesday. So we need to get, I'm going to talk to you offline, brother, because we need to get, I talked with Mr. Howard Ballou and some other, some other executives with the news companies and all that. I feel like we really need to work on being a syndicated show and everything, man. We've got some amazing people have been on here, man. Yourself and pastors, other lawyers, dentists, other doctors, medical health professionals, pastors, But anyway, my point with Glozell. So with you, I said, man, I know we're going to have so much content to cover. And I remember when I called her, she's in California. She had just done the Tamron Hall show. And I said, well, do you want me to send you these generated questions or whatever? And she was like, get off my phone. And I said, what? And she said, don't mess this up. Don't mess up the aura, the energy by giving me the questions of her head. She said, just go with it. Don't do that. Like when it comes to certain people. So I'm just saying that we went with it, and I feel like, man, it's been a great conversation. But I would love to have you back if you want to come back home. And I think we got more work to do, my brother.
I will definitely join you, brother. Look forward to it. I very rarely, in fact, I almost never like to know the questions before.
Okay.
Often, when I am given the questions before, I start thinking about what my response would be. And then when I'm asked the question, instead of thinking about responding to it in the natural way that I would normally respond,
Right.
I'm going to remember what I previously thought about as a
Right.
response. And so it's a bit distracting to me. And so, I like, um, speaking in a more, impromptu fashion.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, my mom said, thank you, Mr. May. Um, Yeah, I think that's an amazing thing. So we will, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a little bit past the hour, so we're gonna let you guys go, but we will bring Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba back on because honestly, I have a few other questions that we didn't get to. I've got a couple of things I was going to mention about healthcare, and here we touched on the water issue, infrastructure. We talked about his past. We talked about his father and his legacy, and then we even threw a little bit of friendly shade on his choice in
Yeah,
fraternity.
I simply ignored it. Right. That was, listen, we talked about things moving forward.
Yeah.
Nobody would want the first iPhone, would they? You want to get the bugs out. You look for the next generation. That's what we're dealing with in choice of fraternity. And so, look,
Oh
I
man.
appreciate you making the effort, right? And so we're grateful that we were able to get the kinks out.
And where's Dr. Driscoll? Dr. Driscoll Duvall from UMC, chapter president. We need you on here, brother. Normally he's normally on here every Tuesday, man. But no, hey guys, of course, we're joking. We're big supporter. We're all part of the D9, and we support we're all brothers and sisters. So it's all just kind of, we're joking with it, banter and stuff like that. We're joking. So it's all love, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna give it to you, man. I would love for you to tell the citizens of Jackson and whoever else is seeing this worldwide, where you are, what initiatives you're working on, where you're working, if you're taking on new clients, and whatever else you want everyone to know.
I'll say it really quickly because my computer's about to die, actually, and I couldn't find the charger right now. Again, I'm back in my law practice. I'm at Bellender and Associates. We're a full-service law firm. We do everything from estate management. We do criminal law. We do personal injury. Just about any, not any and every matter, but most matters that people have. We have attorneys with a significant track record and a record of success. And so if you're in need of legal support, certainly reach out to us. We're at 625 North State Street. Again, Bellender Law Firm in the Legacy Building. Join us. I just want to let everyone know in the city of Jackson that I continue to support and love on my city, that we all need to work collectively to see Jackson shine and thrive in the way that it should. I thank you, Brother Bookhardt, for the knowledge that you provide everyone about things that we need to know in community. We need a fully healthy community. That's everything from our physical health, our mental health, our financial stability, and our public safety, right? And the only way we get to those solutions is working collaboratively and collectively. So I thank you, brother. I will certainly join you again, and I look forward to it.
Thank you so much. I'll reach out to you in a few minutes. I'm just going to kind of debrief with you, but since you said it's going to die, I'm going to.
It's going to die any second. I was trying to keep a poker face when it gave me the notice, but it may go out in any moment now.
All right. Well, go ahead. I'll give you. I'm going to give you a call just real quick after this.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
Right. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So you've heard it first. We were here again with former Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba. I want you to give it to him. Next week, make sure to stay. I want you guys to stay tuned. Next week, we are going, as we say each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m., we go higher, higher, and higher. We are going to have an amazing guest next week. So I'm not even going to announce right now because, like I say, we're over time. So you're going to see it. Make sure to stay tuned. Dr. B TV, DOCTOR, the letter B TV on YouTube. Make sure to share, tag, like, and subscribe to support this amazing program. Thank you for watching Telehealth Tuesday. We love our fantastic audience support. With that said, make sure to bring a friend with you. Don't just be selfish. Don't keep this to you. Okay. Make sure to bring someone with you. All right. Don't just keep this. This is a free program that we are bringing all of the experts to you, elected officials, whoever it is, people that you might not just run across in your normal daily pattern or routine, but you can ask questions right here, right now. Telehealth Tuesday, each and every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Be here. Make sure if you want to be a guest on our program, or if you have someone that you suggest that should be on here, make sure to let us know. We would love to hear from you. DM us, give us a call, email us. If you have a story, testimony, a situation to discuss, we would love to hear from you. All right. So next Tuesday, 7 p.m., Dr. B TV, Good Faith Wellness Center on Instagram, Facebook. Make sure to share, tag, like, subscribe, Dr. B TV. Telehealth Tuesday. We'll see you on next Tuesday, God willing. And remember that true wealth begins with good health. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now. Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt. Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances, and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today, and remember, true wealth begins with good health.